we'll get to that. But first, what was good, what was bad, what was ugly from a libertarian perspective? Joining me now, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. Welcome back to the show, Judge.
It's good to be with you, Kennedy.
So you were watching the speech. You've known the president for a long time. I think expectations were low, so it wasn't difficult for him to exceed them. But what stood out to you?
Well, I'm smiling because I'm wondering why you're asking me, since I'm one of those people who believes that about 90% of what the federal government does is not authorized by the Constitution and it shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I also have this 30-year friendship with him. I like him as a person. I want him to succeed, as I want any president to succeed. But much of what he talked about could have been articulated by LBJ in 1965.
Or any other president.
Right.
George
Correct.
W. Bush,
Correct.
Bill Clinton, Barack Obama.
In fairness to him, even Ronald Reagan proposed many things far outside the parameters of the Constitution. What stands out in my mind is the determination to keep Guantanamo Bay open, which is one of the most profound violations of express constitutionally protected liberties in the modern era, which costs $500 million a year.
It is so much more expensive to incarcerate people.
To keep 41 people there who could easily be incarcerated elsewhere. None of them have been tried. Most of them have been there for 12, 13, or 15 years. So it's express violation of many constitutional privileges, right to a speedy trial, right to the evidence against you, basic due process, which the Supreme Court has endorsed. Concept of infrastructure, of course, while very appealing, who doesn't want a new LaGuardia Airport? Who doesn't want to repave Route 80 going from the George Washington Bridge to the Golden Gate Bridge? But should the federal government be paying that? And if the answer is yes, where is that in the Constitution? So it's
and more practically, where's that money coming from?
Exactly. So if the president is willing to add to our debt, he's already on record. He's already on a track record of bringing us to about $25 trillion federal government debt by the end of this present term. $25 trillion in debt is $1 trillion a year in interest payment. $1 trillion a year in interest payments is 40% of the tax revenue.
Yes, that's right.
So we're going to be spending 40 cents on every tax dollar on goods that and services that were already purchased by people no longer enjoying them. Do we really want that kind of a society, and can we last like that?
No, and that's why this is always a grab bag and a list of handouts that every president extends to his party.
So if you look at the State of the Union, as a constitutional lawyer does, you're appalled. If you look at the State of the Union as an opportunity to gin up the base, bring some Democrats in, put your arms around people, show them that you care about their problems, show a different side of you, a less combative, a more avuncular side. He was on the road to that last night. I couldn't stay awake. It was really, really, really long. But I did get
one of the longest State of the Union addresses that we've seen in this modern era.
Yes. So I don't know where it goes from here. I mean, he will need some Democratic votes to do what he wants, but Democrats like a lot of these things. Are Democrats willing to build a wall, which to me is utterly repugnant to the concept of human freedom, that this wall would exist, in order to save the Dreamers? I don't know if they'll make that. He seems to think that they will. If they'll make that exchange, he seems to think that they will.
I think it's utterly repugnant to those who believe in limited government and to that effect, limiting the cost, because $25 billion, that's at the conservative end.
Wall has two sides. Keeps people out and it keeps people in.
Yeah.
We want to go through that East Germany type of look all over again? Or are there more effective, less expensive, more humanitarian ways to address these problems?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the compromises that both parties will have to find, hopefully inexpensively, but I highly doubt that, since they're both so addicted to spending, which in and of itself will lead us to.
And they are extremely polarized, whether it's over the release of raw intelligence or the legitimacy of Bob Mueller's investigation, or where they are. The compromise is not the buzzword in this Congress.
Yeah, no, 1 minute they love surveillance, the next minute they hate it when it's politically inconvenient. Always love your advice and opinion. Thank you so much, Judge.